I'm Jeff, and this is a square. I talked about a square chassis during the last video and how it's a neutral space. It's not portrait, it's not landscape. So I'm starting this painting as a square, so I'm not orienting us in either a prescribed way. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to start this one off in quite a different architecture than the last one. So I'm going to start off with a really ordered architecture that is immediately dynamic. There are lots of interesting ideas that came out of Gestalt in the 1920s. Gestalt theory was all about how our brains interpret what's coming in visually. And it really boils down to what humans find logical and therefore safe. And so looking at lines, when we see a horizontal line or perfectly vertical line, it feels logical and therefore ordered. When a line is diagonal, though, our brain immediately starts to ask why. And that's the introduction of dynamism. And if a line is just slightly off of vertical, it looks like a mistake. Or slightly off of horizontal, it looks like it's a mistake. But if there is a purposeful looking angle, it looks intentional. So I'm going to stripe this painting right now. And I'm going to keep these diagonals about equidistant from each other. And I made a short a few days ago of the color that I mixed up for this. Again, I'm using blue tape for you guys so you can see what's going on here. It's about the same size, but I still want to add some variety in this initial layer so it doesn't look too robotic. So I'm going to vary some of the widths a little bit. I'll leave in these horizontal and vertical. It'll add some more interesting focal points as this thing moves forward. And I think these ideas with Gestalt are really applicable to the way that we read abstract painting. I think a lot of abstract painting, at least what I'm doing, I'm trying to tie back into something pre-verbal. And these ideas about the way we receive information are critical to that. So it's kind of like before the speed of thought. So I whipped up this luscious bubblegum color the other day, and it's a violet, it's a blue violet. And one of the things for me about starting with, it seems to be violets and reds, is they make for a really difficult challenge to construct the rest of the painting. And I think it's because of their intensity. And so when you build on top of them, it takes a lot of work to get the color harmony just right without everything looking garish. I'm only using one side of the tape, so I've got that natural edge on the other side. And I come to areas like this where there's this junction. I'll probably leave out that corner, but maybe point this color here, and maybe I'll get that junction there. And some things will happen in negative space that will reconnect them all. So it's just like my other paintings in the sense that I don't want to overthink this first layer. I just want to get some architecture in here so that I've got something to build from. A lot of it is breaking the white, except I leave the canvas color so that white can operate as a color. You can't start from nothing, obviously. There has to be something on the canvas to respond to. And I call it problematizing. A lot of painters use that term. And that really helps build that tension in that keeps you engaged in viewing the work. And it also keeps you engaged in making the work. There's a good thick chunk there. If the painting has no problems, it doesn't have any life. There's got to be things to grapple with in making the work. Otherwise, there's nothing set up, there's no tension, there's no dynamism set up. And you got the extra paint, so you've got to make a big old chunk of it somewhere. So there's a good chunk too. Let's see what's left behind. And you can tell, like, this super saturated violet is going to be really hard to deal with moving forward, because it is such a opinionated color. So in the next video, I'll start to work further on this, start to get the next layers on, and we'll probably have another architecture layer before I start to get my shapes in there. And so I'm going to stare at this a lot to see what's going to happen with color to start to activate this further while still keeping it all together.